Hello and welcome back to Hand Collectibles for another FANHOME review and assembly video. As you can see, in this video we have issues 15 to 20, as it was in the last video, so 6 issues again. As you can see, it's quite a lot to get through in these 6 issues. So without further ado, let's get to the first issue, 15. Here we have issue number 15. As you can see, we have the main assembly of the rim of the wheel and the tyre, which is a little bit different because I think on some of the other issues we've had the complete wheel as just one assembly part, but here it's split into 2. And then we have, get this out of the way, we'll have a look at book number 15. Let's have a quick flip through. Obviously feel free to pause this at any point and have a read through of what's on each page. More about the Too Fast Too Furious cars there. And as you can see, front left wheel. And the assembly guide. And then what it should look like at the end. Okay, so let's move on and assemble this. And here we have the assembly parts for issue 15. As you can see, I think this one's going to be quite a simple one put together. No screws, so I think that's going to be in the next issue because it gives you the centre part of the wheel. But obviously we have the tyre and then the inner part of the rim. Obviously there's 2 parts, one's obviously quite thick, one's quite thin. I think all we have to do is line them up inside the wheel. So let's just have a quick look, see what we have to do. Okay, on the instructions it says to find the word left on the tyre. So it's here, so there's a right on one side, there's a left on the other. So obviously the left one is the side you want. And then you want the smaller part of the rim. And that just gets pushed in with a bit of friction. So just push it in until it just sits nice and flush on the tyre. Then we do spin it over right side where it says right here. We then put the rear of the rim on, and all we have to do is push it and then just line up the screw holes. So when we do finally screw it together in the next issue, I presume it is, it'll all just go together nicely. So just make sure they're all lined up nice, pushed together, ready for the next issue. There you go. Okay, that was an extremely simple issue to put together. I don't think they're all going to be like that, but yeah, quite a nice easy one to put together. Okay, we'll move on to issue number 16. And here we have issue number 16. As you can see, this is now the centre part of the wheel, because obviously we've just put the tyre together and the inner rim. And obviously you've got the centre part of the wheel with obviously some screws, a couple of extra bits. And then obviously we'll have a quick look through the booklet for issue number 16. About the Bremo brake system. If anyone knows anything about racing, Bremo brakes are extremely good and extremely expensive brakes. About Baron's mansion from the Too Fast Too Furious film. A bit more about Nismo. And then, as you can see, stage 16, front left wheel. This is the centre part of the wheel, so the actual alloy. As you can see, this is where we screw it all together and what it should look like at the end. Okay, let's move on to the assembly. And here we are with issue number 16's assembly parts. As you can see, we've got the main centre of the wheel, we've got some ABM screws, some studs, obviously wheel studs, we've got this washer, and then we've got obviously this little centre cap. Don't think goes on till later, but any of you can kind of see that's extremely detailed. But I don't think they obviously go on yet. And something I have noticed with the wheels, as they're moving about in the packaging, you're getting a slight rub mark on the centre. Now I spoke to FANHOME about this before, when I received one of my the last wheel that came, I think, with the first lot of issues, and they sent me out a brand spanking new one. This one has got some rub marks on it again, so I may contact him again about the rub marks that are on the centre cap again. So, you know, they were really good last time, sent me out a wheel free of charge. So I may contact him again, I'll see how much this bothers me. But really, for the price you're paying, it should be a mint part that you're receiving. So I probably will contact him and get a replacement part. You know, because I kind of think if you're paying this much for a model, you shouldn't be getting marks or wear marks while it's in the packaging. It's something they really need to quality control think about when they're sending out these metal parts. Okay, let's move on and assemble this. Okay, so all we're doing is we're mounting this centre part of the wheel into the wheel and tyre that we put together last time. So obviously we put the rim in last time on the tyre. There's a smaller part of the rim at the front and there's a wider part at the back. So what you want to do is there's 3 hole marks on the back of the alloy. As you put it in, you want to line up these 3 hole marks in the back, and then with your screws, what we're going to do is go right through from the back with the screw into the back of the alloy, and in that way it tightens everything up, so both parts of the rim and also the front plate of the alloy, so it all becomes one nice solid piece. This is what you want, because obviously there's going to be a lot of weight of this car on these wheels. You'll feel it when it starts to go through and tighten up. Last screw in. I don't really do them up tight until I've got them all in and obviously all the screws situated. As you go over tighten one side, it might stop you getting the other sides in, so I'll just put them in, get them all going, and then tighten them all at the same time. So at least the wheel then sits quite central. You'll feel it as it starts to go tighter. You can go quite tight with these because obviously it's a metal part, so you're not going to strip the thread out. You only really have to be careful of that when you're dealing with plastic parts. And as you can see, there's the alloy situated. Very cool part, very extremely wide tyre, you know, typical Fast and Furious. But yeah, that's that part completed. You do get some other bits with it. You do get the wheel studs, a washer, and obviously the centre cap, but obviously we don't use any of that yet. So you just put that to one side in a little tub until you're ready to assemble them bits on. Okay, let's move on to the next issue. And here we have issue number 17 and assembly parts. As you can see, we've got some of the steering parts and part of the front chassis to put together, and booklet number 17. So let's just have a quick look through booklet number 17. Move that to one side. A bit more about the Nissan Skyline GTR. A bit more about obviously the characters of Fast and Furious, Suzuki, Honda. A bit more about Nismo. As you can see, steering system and front chassis assembly parts. As you can see, like with the books, you do get a lot of information. I don't always read it. You know, some of the parts are really interesting, especially parts about the film, bits I didn't know, and backstory and bits on the cars. But yeah, As you can see, when you get to the back, it's the assembly guide. And what it should look like when all your parts have been assembled. Okay, let's move on to assembling it. Okay, here we are with issue number 17's assembly parts. As you can see, it's parts of the subframe and steering. We have some SM screws, some AAM screws and some AM screws. As you can see, most of these parts, I think all these parts are die cast. So obviously normally with the steering parts, they normally are die cast. It stops them wearing and breaking with their plastic. I found out when I built the Dodge Charger that a lot of the steering parts were all metal, stop them fading and breaking. So yeah, okay, without further ado, let's move on and assemble these bits. Okay, first two parts of the assemble are these two. Obviously all you want to do is take this one and insert it into the hole in this one. Obviously it does just drop straight in like a peg. And then the next part, taking this one, this one just drops into the groove here. So I presume when this one's in, it'll turn this one. Yeah, as you can see, it'll turn that one when that one's in. Once you've got them parts in, you want the top of this, just goes on there. As you see, once the top part's in, as you can see, it'll turn and move it. Okay, very clever. So what screws do we need to put this together? We need some SM screws. We need 3 of them. As always, when I'm saying put these parts together, just wind your screws in a little bit on each one of them. Don't do them fully up until you've got all of them in. That way you kind of know the part is lined up to go on. And once all the screws are on, you can do them all up nice and tight. And as you can see, as I said with the steering parts, they're all die cast, so you can do these up extremely tight now. Once they're all done up nice and tight, you know, that works. You know, if you do find you're getting a bit of friction, maybe just take it apart, maybe just put a little bit of Vaseline in there, just to ease it. I want to make it nice and simple. I think that's what I'll do with mine. I'll probably might just take it all back apart, put a little bit of Vaseline inside just to make it nice and smooth and not as kind of feels like it gets knotted every now and again. So if yours is the same, just open it up again, a little bit of Vaseline in between the two cogs, and then that's it. Okay, so just off camera, I took it back apart, put a little bit of Vaseline in between the cogs. So obviously now it turns nice and freely. You don't want it getting snagged at all, not once you've put all the model together, so it's worthwhile doing these bits now. Okay, let's put that bit to one side and move on to the next part. The next part is assembling this part. One of the main parts of the front chassis, and then putting the part of the steering rack. I'm going to connect this to it. So this is with AAM screws. I believe this will just attach here on the underneath, right there. Let's get me AAM screws. You need 2 of these. So line up the holes and just start to wind your screw in. Like I said, don't do it up fully until you've got them both in. Once you've got them both in, then you can do them up nice and tight. Like I say, you can go quite tight with this because it's a metal part. Now can be a bit difficult to wind them through sometimes because of the paint on the thread. You might need to wind it out and then wind them back in again. Sometimes you just wind them through. There we go. Starting to do up nicely, nice and tight. Getting in there. Just a bit of movement in that still. And there we go. So there's that part connected. And I think, is that all there is in this issue? Oh no, we've got one more part to connect, which is this part, which I believe just fits right on the top of there. May just go off to that angle by the looks of it. Okay, and that part is put on with an AM screw. Okay, so on the instructions it says to have this part of the steering rack held down with the two holes facing up, and then you want to put this part on here so it's facing backwards. You just want to get the AM screw. Need one AM screw to be put on this. Place that part towards the back. And then just screw in. As you can see, when you turn it, it moves out. Nice and simple. And that concludes us for this issue. Okay, let's move on to the next issue. And here we have issue number 18. Now as you can see with this one, we get the underside of the chassis. The main part that the obviously driver's seat to sit on. And a book. So this should be quite a simple one put together. Let's move this to one side and have a quick look through the book. So quite a simple issue to put together, only one major piece. I would imagine we're bolting some bits to it. A little more about the GTR, the interior. A bit more about the estate plan that's obviously in the movie. Rallying, and then chassis, centre section, there you go. Obviously what we're going to put together and what we're going to add to it and what it should look like at the end. Okay, without further ado, let's move on and assemble this. Okay, here we are with issue number 18's assembly parts. As you can see, it's the main part of the floor tray, the underside of the car. We've obviously got the gearbox tunnel, which needs to be connected by some screws, and you get some EM screws and some AM screws. So obviously not a lot of parts on this issue, but obviously a major big part. So without further ado, we'll start to put this together. So I think all we've got to do is attach the gearbox tray to the underside of the car, and then the bit of steering and front subframe that we did in the last issue, that gets connected here as well. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's just take the gearbox tunnel out. Let's turn this over. As you can see, gearbox tunnel just fits here. Obviously, it's got 4 screw holes, one there, one there, one there, one there. So 2 on each side, and then they're connected with AM screws. So we'll put the first one in here. opposite side, opposite end. Do it up quite tight, because even though the gearbox tunnel is plastic, the actual underside is metal. Once you've done them two up tight, you can then go other side. And then top on the opposite side. As you can see, there's the gearbox tunnel on the side. We'll do the top side along. And now the next step is to attach the part we did in the last one, which is part of the front subframe, and that connects up here. Okay, the next stage is obviously to attach this front part of the subframe. So it attaches here and here. So you're going to need to line your screws up. And then one through here, one through here. Just get a screw. I would suggest putting this one in first, because it's a little harder to get in, and then putting the top one in up here. That one's slightly easier to line up, because this one pushes it into shape. Put the top one in as well. Put them both up nice and tight, because it's a metal and metal piece. And there you go. As you can see, as you do them up tight, you do take a little bit of the paint off the screw. If you are a perfectionist and you do want it to look immaculate when it's assembled, then just a little bit of black paint just attach to the top of the screw head. Obviously you're not taking it out apart again. We'll then just seal that up and make it look like the screws are nice and new and black again. Which I'll probably do anyway myself. Okay, that's all from this issue, so let's move on to the next issue. And here we are with issue number 19, as you can see with this one. A bit more of the subframe on the opposite side, so the steering on the last part of the front subframe. Now we've got this one, which is I think just part of the front subframe on the opposite side. It shouldn't be too hard to put together. Move that to one side, and then we'll have a quick look through the booklet. Obviously issue number 19. About testing at the Nuremberg ring in the GTR. Bit about the Fast and Furious cars. It's always interesting to read about the cars. A bit about the Nissan story. Yeah, the chassis, centre section. And what it should look like. And it's fully put together. Okay, let's move on to the assembly. And here we are with issue number 19's assembly parts, as you can see. The other side of the front subframe. And then that part's metal. These parts, both of these are plastic, and these are the centre parts. They're obviously crossed from one side of the subframe, I think, to the other side of the subframe. Okay, let's start putting this together. So very similar to last time when we fitted this section. Obviously now we have the opposite side section as well. So obviously it just fits on very similar way. I think we'll do what we did last time. We'll put the top screw in up here and then put the second one in after. No, we'll put the lower screw in first because that was the harder one, and then the top one in. Okay. Just get it in and then put the other one in as well, and then you can do them both up tight. That's that one in. And they're both in tight, as you can see. Front subframe. And then as this does get bigger, I will switch to my bigger light box. At the moment, I just don't think it warrants switching to the bigger light box. But yeah, as we're getting to parts at this size and bigger, then yeah, I will do. So you can see the whole place instead of just the part that I'm working on. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the stage. Okay, it actually says on the assembly that these two parts they'll put to one side for a later issue. So that's issue number 19 done, which was, you know, it's fairly an easy one to do really. It was only 2 screws, EM screws here and here, and to put the part of the front subframe. So I've got both sides of the front subframe on now. Gearbox tunnel, so the main underneath of the Skyline really's come together now. Okay, let's move on to issue number 20. And here we have issue number 20, the final issue in this package now. So that'll be the end of the 6 issues assembly. So what do we have in this one? I think this is the left side front wheel arch. So obviously I don't look like there's a whole lot to assemble in this one again. I'll just do the front wheel arch. A quick look through the book as well. So part 2 of testing at the Nuremberg ring. Cars versus boats, obviously the iconic car Camaro from Too Fast Too Furious. Yeah, as you can see, front left wheel arch assembly, and then what that looks like when it's fully assembled as well. Okay, let's move on and assemble this final part of this package. And here we have issue number 20, the final stage in this package to put together. So issue number 20 is assembly parts. As you can see, we've got some EM screws, kind of 2 little bits here, and then the front left wheel arch. And obviously I think we're fitting this to the subframe. So let's have a look. So we need the EM screws, just take these 2 little bits out of the way. And get the subframe back in. Here we are with the front part of the subframe. And then this part just attaches, I believe, right on top here. Yep. So it just attaches with EM screws. Let's just get some of them out. So let's put your first one here. Second one here. So you can do that nice and tight, because you shouldn't strip the thread out because it's metal. So the wheel arch is metal, and obviously the lower section is metal as well. You go quite tight. Okay, that's both of them in. And then it says one more EM screw, just here, on the lower section. Turn to the side, you'll be able to see it a bit better, sorry. Okay, so you've got to put one here, you've put one here, and then you've put one here as well. And the next section is, so take these 2 parts that you kind of also get, and then this smaller part just fits in the top of this part, like so. You feel it when it snaps in place. And then that's it. It says just put it to one side for your next issue. So that's it. That's this package complete. You know, really appreciate you watching the video. Please do like and subscribe, it really does help the channel. And I think the next package is near enough inbound now, so it says should arrive any day. So when it does arrive, I'll do the next video. I believe the next issue's got the seats in it, I believe. So yeah, we'll do that. I'll also let you know what FANHOME say about obviously the damage that was to the front alloy as well, and see if they replace that, because obviously they've already replaced one for me. It had the same issue, so I'll see what they say on that one. And see you in the next video. See you next time. As always, collect what you like. See you soon.